Okay. The research question for this project is how could Michigan successfully reintroduce a self-sustaining Arctic grayling into its northern streams and lakes? Uh, so what is an Arctic grayling? According to the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, an Arctic grayling is a North American freshwater fish in the salmon family. They live in cold water, uh, like in places like Canada, Siberia, and some North American states like Montana and Alaska. They also formerly lived in Michigan until their extinction in 1936. They have been recorded as growing up to 24 inches in length and 8 pounds in weight. The fish have been introduced to suitable habitats in places like the Rocky Mountain Range, and they have been introduced in Montana as well. Uh, Arctic grayling in Michigan. According to biologist Robert E. Vinson, Arctic grayling were once native to more than 20 streams in Michigan's Lower Peninsula. They were one of the most prominent species in Michigan's river system. Culturally, they were a very important fish. They were seen as a seasonal food source by both Europeans and Native Americans alike. But in 1936, the Arctic grayling disappeared from Michigan's rivers for good. Their extinction is attributed by the Michigan DNR to three main factors: overfishing, deforestation, and competition with non-native species. In a quick span of time, grayling went from being one of the most prominent fish species in Michigan to being extinct. The disappearance of the fish has not gone unnoticed, however. Many reintroduction efforts for grayling in Michigan have been attempted throughout the 1900s. Most recently, a reintroduction of stock hatchery raised fish was tried in the 1980s, but it was not successful. Uh, the fish was not equipped to handle Michigan streams and died from things like infection, hooking wounds, and competition with non-native species. Most importantly, however, the fish was not able to reproduce. The Michigan Arctic Grayling Initiative was created by a partnership of the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians and the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Unlike previous efforts, their efforts look to draw upon the lessons learned from previous reintroduction initiatives, as well as new approaches to achieve success. Using new technologies and different approaches, the state of Montana was able to successfully reintroduce grayling. One vital piece of technology used in their efforts was something called a remote site incubator. Michigan hopes to replicate Montana's success using this RSI technology. Basically, what a remote site incubator is a large bucket filled with broodstock grayling. Despite its simplicity, this technology allows for grayling to imprint, which is a key component in their breeding process. The initiative also looks to improve stream flow of certain rivers in order to make them more hospitable for grayling. My final product, for the final product of this research paper, I analyzed population growth of Arctic grayling in Montana during their reintroduction efforts. Then I used the data found there to create projections for Michigan's population growth rate. For Montana's numbers, I analyzed a 6-year growth period from 2004 to 2010, and I created graphs to show the decrease and increase in population of the fish. I also calculated the average growth rate per year and growth for each year. The average growth rate was 2.99% overall, but the average growth rate during the 4-year increase period was 11.01%. Using both of these averages, I made projection charts predicting what the population growth will be like for Michigan's Arctic grayling. And for the chart, I made off the average, I estimated that in 5 years, there would be close to 80 fish living in Michigan. And for the chart made off of the 2.9 average, I estimated that there would be close to 60 living in Michigan. The real population, however, will probably be somewhere in between these numbers. Thank you. That is the end of my fish presentation.